Well, hello and welcome to today's tea break with me, Tasha. I do have a tea break planned for today, but I thought I'd go for a walk before making that tea break, just to recharge my own batteries. And it suddenly struck me that perhaps some of our tea breaks at least should be spent on peacefulness, mindfulness and presence. And I can share ideas and my own thoughts and opinions all day long, every day. But I'm sure it's nothing you haven't thought for yourself already. None of us can make changes if we aren't united. Peacefully, of course. So perhaps I should get into the habit of making tea breaks to help calm and soothe people who are going through a difficult time. It's looking as if that's highly likely to increase. Let me know, what do you personally enjoy to do to keep present, to keep in the moment, to practice mindfulness? Do you think that that's more important than ever in today's busy world? Well, I suppose we better get to it. I'll see you back at the office for today's tea break.
Well, hello and welcome to the second part of today's tea break, the information part. Back home in the office, which is also known as the dining room. Cheers to you all. For this part of the tea break, I've chosen to talk about another European country. And that's primarily as a result of hearing about the budget here in the UK. And also because everything that is going on at the moment and continues to go on unchallenged, it seems it would be useful for us to familiarise ourselves with how other countries are running and with a particular interest in their taxation systems. I hope that as a result of watching this tea break, you will be inspired to look up other countries for yourself and even share your findings with all of us. Today's tea break is to drive home the idea that there are plenty of ways to do business and not this one-trick pony approach, which seems to be the party line, no matter who you vote for these days. But you probably know that already. Today, I'm going to talk about Hungary and Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and I've been a bit inspired by him really. But equally, Switzerland is another great country, and perhaps we can look there in another tea break. Of course, it goes without saying, I'm not an expert in Hungarian politics, and this tea break will be a layman's view only. But before we start all of that, allow me to introduce the Free Speech Union, for which there is also a link below in the description box. I'm not affiliated with this Free Speech Union, nor am I receiving any commission to promote them, but I have become a member myself. Free speech is a very valuable human right, and things, well, they've been a bit crazy in the UK here lately. So I would thoroughly recommend any independent content creators who likes to share opinions, go ahead and join the Free Speech Union. It's added peace of mind, and although we shouldn't need their help because we are sticking to all the rules, it is almost a bit like insurance, which you hope you will never need, but it's good to have just in case. Back to today's tea break. Prime Minister Orban is a Hungarian lawyer and a politician, and he's been the Prime Minister of Hungary since 2010. And I suppose I've been inspired by the economic stability of this country. But I should share both sides of the coin, despite my own personal bias in his favour, purely on account of the taxation systems he has created for his own citizens, which are truly amazing, at least at first glance. But both sides of the coin would include the European Parliament's dismay at Victor. He is, of course, the only serving leader in the European Union to have led their country for 15 years. 15 years and still counting. Since 2010, in my humble opinion, he has transformed Hungary, but the European Parliament have commented that this leadership style is akin to some hybrid regime of electoral autocracy. Some commentators have also gone on to state that Viktor Orban appears uncertain how to describe his own invention of democracy, trying both illiberal democracy and Christian liberty as a means to best describe his politics. Although I have to state, any face-to-face interviews I've seen with Viktor Orban have been direct, have been focused, and have been demonstrative of a leader who is definitely putting his country first and foremost. For me, there is nothing hidden up the sleeve, and his common sense prevails. The politics of Hungary takes place in a framework of parliamentary, representative, democratic republic. The Prime Minister is the head of government over quite a vast multi-party system. And Hungary does actually have its own president too, but the president is the head of state and rather holds a largely ceremonial position, a bit like the king for us in the UK. On the plus side for Hungary, according to the 2024 Global Peace Index, Hungary is the 14th most peaceful country in the entire world. Wow. It is true. I don't know everything there is to know about Viktor Orban or Hungary, but I do feel as if we could learn a lot from these particular systems of governance, and in particular the economics of the country of Hungary. For today's tea break, I want to hone in on merely one aspect of the Hungarian economy, their system of taxation, and that's going to be tea break style, of course. We absolutely don't want to hurt ourselves. And to repeat, I've only just started looking at Hungary myself. Hungary ranked 7th overall on the 2024 International Tax Competitive Index, beating its score by 4 points from the previous year of 2023. Hungarian taxation strengths include the lowest corporate tax rate in the OECD at 9%. Personal employees' Hungarian income is taxed at a flat rate of only 15%. In February 2025, so just gone, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban announced an income tax exemption for mothers of 2 or 3 children for their entire working life. And I think he said mothers of 1 child would be exempt for 30 years. This could possibly and potentially be better than any child benefit scheme or child tax credit scheme that we have ever heard of, whilst simultaneously encouraging mothers back to work. This kind of system may also allow for cash-in-hand employment, which would be useful at times of crop picking on farms. Viktor Orban also said he is going to cap interest rates on housing mortgage loans at 5% from this April as part of moves to shore up the economy ahead of a 2026 national election. But it's true to say that 15% of employees' tax rates is not the entire full taxation story, because there are actually 2 other contributions levied on all income. A social security contribution of 18.5% that is deducted from an employee's gross salary, and an employer's tax of 13%, which is not part of the employee's wage, but is paid by their employer. So it sounds to me like the overall personal employee tax rate is really 33.5% in total for everyone who is eligible to pay tax. And a further 13% is paid by the employer, which sounds to me like a very good idea. And in fact, having mentioned AI tax on several occasions, maybe something we can focus in on later. 13% tax by the employer, plus, as we mentioned earlier, their 9% corporation tax, is 22% tax overall. And that is really just a little bit less than what the UK offer currently for corporation tax at 25%, which actually has only just gone up because previously it was at 19%. And I have to ask if these tax numbers are just being shuffled around differently between different countries. Sorry, I don't mean to get bogged down with the numbers, but I truly want to understand how it works and if it works better. In 2024, there were approximately 1.8 million businesses registered in Hungary, and in 2024, there were 5.5 million private sector businesses in the UK. So the employer's tax of 13% doesn't really seem to have made too much of a difference to starting up businesses in Hungary when you factor in that there are 70 million people in England approximately, and there are 10 million people in Hungary approximately. Next question. So, what is the unemployment rate in Hungary? Well, the latest labour market statistics from the Hungarian Central Statistical Office came as a positive surprise at the beginning of this year, with the model estimate for January 2025 showing an unemployment rate of only 4.4%, which is exactly the same for the UK. And considering Hungary has a population, as I said earlier, of around 10 million people compared to the UK's approximate 70 million people, that really is only a fraction of our unemployment rates in terms of real numbers. And so I really am bemused as to how they do it. So I am going to study it some more and see if we can't borrow some of the positives from a flourishing nation like Hungary and use them here. Of course, if you know better or think Hungarian systems of taxation are completely awful and wouldn't work in the UK, please let me know. If you know of other countries that are even better still, then please let me know. We do have a voice as citizens here in the UK, and we do have 4 years until the next general election for anyone wanting to get their ducks in a neat enough row to really try to do something differently. One thing I think we all know is the government here in the UK, regardless of the colour or team, all seem to have already decided on a course of action or overall objective for the UK. So we definitely need something new, even newer than reform, who haven't discussed any plans or ideas as of yet. I have, of course, also previously mentioned a People's Fund, and now I'm trying to figure out ways this idea might work well on behalf of a constituency, to the extent that we may even be able to create our own new versions of local government or local council. I am not an expert in economics, no laughing, and you can probably tell that, but I am most definitely interested in it. Interested in how we could become so much more self-reliant and not at the mercy of government generosity or lack of government generosity. We definitely deserve that at the very least. I think at the very least too, Hungary is definitely on my top places I'd like to visit list. So that's today's tea break. Do enjoy your tea, and thank you so much for your attention and your time. And let me know if you enjoyed this topic or you prefer other ones, because I really am here to create content that you enjoy. Cheers to you all. See you soon.